What's up, guys? Guy here. It is Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, really, and I'm doing a YouTube video and a podcast, kind of more podcast style here. It has been I've done a couple videos, short videos. It has been a long time when it comes to the pod. Couple of weeks, very unusual. Even when I go on vacation for 2 weeks, I do a podcast. So I have neglected you. Some of you, most of you, are aware of what's going on. So I want to talk about the game, not so much about me or whatever. But I guess it is my podcast. So uh, I've been told this over the years. Like, tell people what you're up to. They're listening to you. They might care a little bit. So I will try and continue to do that. But filling in for Greg Papa. Again, those of you on YouTube know that. Those of you listening to the podcast know that. And there was somebody sent me a message said, "Are you not doing a podcast because you can't anymore?" And that is not the case. I can and will continue to. And I've just been trying to figure out for the future, like in the next few. When I say future, I don't mean like the future. I mean for the next few weeks. How next month, once college football starts and all that, how can I, just keep everything moving and also make sure I, not wearing down from all this manual labor. But we'll figure that out. There's no issue. Nobody said don't do it. To be perfectly transparent, the thing which I try to be, but the thing that happened. Let's see. We called the Niner game on Sunday or Saturday. That was yesterday. If you listen to this Monday, it was 2 days ago. But so like the previous week was when Greg Papa, the voice of the Niners, a friend of all of ours, but a friend, more than a friend, but he announced on that previous Friday that he had cancer. I was at practice that day. I was at practice the day before. Had some indication of what was going on. And because I was going to need to fill in for him on, short notice. And I just didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like, like that Thursday, or whatever day it was, walking out of practice and doing a podcast or doing like a recap. And then Friday, I certainly didn't feel like I wanted to do something. And so I didn't. Sunday, I went down and talked to a bunch of the Niners coaches. So I feel like I've got stuff for you, and I'll have stuff for you that hopefully is, worth watching and listening to. But I plan on it being the same stuff with a couple other ideas I got. Like we're kicking some ideas around, but I didn't feel like it. Like some of you might have seen like Tuesday. I didn't do a podcast feed, but Tuesday on YouTube, I did it. It ended up being like a 2-minute video. I started it just to talk about Greg briefly and what I was doing. And I thought, okay, and then maybe I'll talk about the Niners, the NFL, that sort of thing. And I didn't want to, so I didn't do it. But I'm back in the mode now, I think. And we got some stuff to talk about from the game. But a lot of you, one thing I do want to say, so many people, DMs, Instagram, tweets, sent me a lot of messages. And whether it was before the game or during the game or after the game, a ton before, I'm sorry I'm not getting back to. It's not that I'm not getting back to everybody. I'm hardly getting back to anybody. And that was part of not doing a podcast last week. Is just I just wanted to focus on. Here's this game. Let's just do this right. Let's do this right, and then start to open the circle back up again. So anyway, thank you. I appreciate the support. It's really cool to, there's two really different worlds, like the television, radio, play-by-play world, the YouTube world are two very different things. And I like that I've got my foot in each of them and that they help each other. Like the fact that I've been doing all the Niner stuff, YouTube helps me call a game. And I think the fact that I call a game and, I'm a member of that, the traditional media, so to speak. And I came up in that world with a certain feeling of like how to balance both things, how to be around a team. How I want to communicate when I'm in a casual setting like YouTube, whatever. All that stuff I think contributes they contribute to each other. But anyway, a lot of you people sent messages, and I really appreciate them. Thank you. I think I saw a lot of them. I'm trying not to, as Lane Kiffin says, I think it's a Saban thing. Like, you can, don't eat the rat poison, taste it, spit it out. I just was trying to stay focused on what I need to stay focused on. Get ready for the game, get ready to call an NFL game, which I'd never done before, which I did for the first time on Saturday. And it was cool. Oh, you guys got to see the 49ers television booth. Now this is the national TV booth, but this is the booth that when you watch a Niners production of a preseason game, this is the one. And for those of you watching the YouTube, I'm putting a video up in it. The rumor is, and they've sent some messages. The rumor is that they consulted Joe Buck on this thing. It's humongous. It's got a bathroom in it. It's got a good depth on the desk, and there's plenty of elbow room. That's all and it's got an incredible vantage point. That's all you really need. But it's a lot to ask in most places. Anyway, it's an incredible spot, and I loved it. And I can't go back to doing games any other place than in that booth because it was incredible. The other thing I got a message on during the game was that we got our first Hawkeye virtual measurement. And I told Tim Ryan, because Tim likes to guess, I hear him with Greg. He's like, I think it's 6 inches. It's 7 inches till the line to gain. And I said, well, the beauty of this Hawkeye is that it's going to tell us exactly. And it did. And we had it early in the game. They throw the measurement up. It says 1 and 1 asterisk. And I go, oh, it's 1 inch. And I got a lot of messages from people that said, God, that's 1 foot. That's not 1 inch. And the answer is yes, I do know that. But maybe I did. In that moment, I didn't. I don't know what I was thinking. I was in the mode of thinking, like, how many inches is it going to be until the line to gain? And then I just screwed it up. So I am aware of that information. I think on the graphic, it looks so small. Now, I don't know if this has been clearly explained to everybody. I think a lot of you, if you've been watching a lot of preseason football, you know this. The line to gain measurement, it's just based on where the official plants the ball down, and then there's 6 8K cameras in each stadium that then do the measurement once the official places the ball. So they don't those cameras don't watch the play and then help them move the ball to the right spot. Now, I've heard that some people talk about there is a chip in the ball. There is a chip in the ball that tracks the movement of the ball, but that is not related to the first down spot. The chip in the ball, and the players have these chips in their shoulder pads. That's something different. That's for, if you've seen any of the next gen stats information, some of the advanced kind of tracking information that they get, that's what the chip in the ball does. So there is a chip in the ball, but the chip in the ball has nothing to do with these first down measurements. I liked it. I thought it was cool, for everybody to see it together on a big screen, and the Niners screens are huge. They upgraded, Super Bowl 60s coming to Levi Stadium. They are the largest 4K. They're not the largest screens in the league, but they're the largest 4K screens in the league. They're much bigger, and I got to admit, standing there in the booth, I'm looking around going, this is Levi Stadium. It was pretty good. So anyway, there is that. I was thinking maybe this week I'll do maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. I'm going with the team on Wednesday to Las Vegas, so I'll be in Vegas. Team playing Wednesday. Business casual. Team playing Wednesday. Joint practice with the Raiders Thursday. Day off Friday. And then I'll be calling the game with Tim Ryan, filling in for Greg again on Saturday, 1:00. Niners Raiders. Maybe I'll go, etch Papa's name somewhere in some far corner of Allegiant Stadium with a pocket knife or something. But I feel like I'm kind of feeling why maybe I don't know if it's going to be a full normal schedule, but I thought maybe I'd do a live. I haven't done one in a while, maybe Monday or Tuesday morning. I'm sure some of you have questions. For those of you watching, I got my full Niners board here. I thought I'd give people a tour of that at some point, but I just got my board in front of me and I'm going to go through it and, give you some thoughts. First of all, Denver, I think, is good. Denver was good last year. Their division's really tough. The AFC's tough. I don't think they're great. I love what they've got on defense, right, with Nick Bonito and Patrick Surtain and all these guys. And I think they've got some explosive offensive players, some speed. Bo Nix threw 29 touchdowns last year, second most for a rookie in NFL history. Justin Herbert has the record of 31 back in 2020. That list is all recent rookies. So it's awesome. And if I drafted Bo Nix and he threw 29 touchdown passes and was second on that list, I'd feel amazing about it. But, of the top 13 guys on that list, only 2 of them are from before 2000. One is Peyton Manning in 98 and one is Jim Kelly in 1986 when he threw 22 touchdowns. So, that list has a lot of recency, offensive explosion, all that. I still think in the grand scheme, Bo Nix looked really good in the joint practice on Thursday. I still think in the grand scheme, like the question is, can they effectively and efficiently, consistently throw the ball beyond around the line of scrimmage? I know some people say, no, that's a misnomer. That's not really what they do, but it's what they did at Oregon, and I do think it's a lot of what happened last year. So that's a big question for them, and until they figure that out, can they do it? Can they grow? And it's early. He's young. He's coming into his second year, but that's what you're up against in the AFC. And I know people are going to say, well, that's all Mahomes does. But I know Patrick can push the ball down the field. But anyway, I'm not going to get too much into the Denver Broncos here. Let's run through a few things. Mac Jones looked really good. Happy with Mac Jones. I was thinking about something Kyle Shanahan said. One of my favorite Kyle Shanahan quotes from before the Niners drafted Trey Lance. They did that press conference. He said there aren't 32 people on the face of the earth that can play quarterback at an acceptable level. I fully believe that, and so I think it really highlights when you have a quarterback, Mac Jones, who can play quarterback at an acceptable level. Will he be a starter again in the NFL? I mean, he gave the Niners that second year of control and cheaply, so it seems like he's at least willing to settle in with San Francisco and spend some time with Shanahan. But he can definitely play, especially for QB2 at an acceptable level. I mean, you think about last year what the Niners needed. They needed QB2 at a critical juncture of their season. They were 5-5 when Brandon Allen had to go start in Green Bay. It didn't go well. And you hope you don't need your backup quarterback to start. They didn't need Sam Darnold to start the year before. He was good enough to go win you a game, or if you got to play 3, maybe give you a chance to win 2. I think Mac Jones is going to be good enough. After that, the quarterback play is not good at all. Now Carter Bradley's only been on the team 10 days, but he and Tanner Mordecai had a night to forget, no question about it. Hard to know exactly on the offensive line from a starting standpoint because Ben Bartch was the only guy at left guard that's going to be a starter. But one thing, the word is the offensive line coach for the 49ers, Chris Forster, said we may not have a swing tackle. We may have a backup left tackle and a backup right tackle. Austin Pleasant's at right tackle and Spencer Burford at left tackle. And that, I don't know if that's going to be good enough, especially at left tackle. If Burford, it feels like it was tough. It was really tough yesterday. So, it's hard to make big judgments on the offensive line because those weren't the starters. But, understanding that you're going to need a third tackle at some point, and the guys they got can't interchange on the other sides of the formation, then that is a concern. That's a fair concern. Jake Moody, I think Thomas Morstead is going to be excellent. You don't see him a ton in camp, but I think he's going to be excellent. It was nice to see the long snapper John Weeks make a tackle. John Weeks, he's 39 years old. He's got an incredible story. John Weeks played at Baylor, walked on at Baylor, played at Baylor, tried to make an NFL team, didn't make it. So he was a firefighter in training. This is on my board from yesterday. I was like, when am I going to get this in? Probably never. Maybe I'll get it in. I'm trying to get this in a game. So if you hear this in a game, you already heard it here. But he was a firefighter in training. He was working the graveyard shift as a hospital CAT scan assistant. And this is 2009, and he's on duty. He's in Arizona. The Panthers are playing the Cardinals. Jake Delhomme gets hit and has like they wanted to go do a chest x-ray or whatever on him, chest contusion. John Weeks is the CAT scan assistant on duty when Jake Delhomme comes in. And 2 years later, he goes and works out for the Texans. He makes the team, and Jake Delhomme's his teammate. Pretty crazy. Anyway, so that's the Niners long snapper, but that's not. Niners receivers. Great catch. Jordan Watkins has been great. I thought it was interesting, not just the 50-yard catch, but they tried to get him a couple of those, the kind of jet sweep and the quick bubble screen. Didn't work great. Don't think the blocking was great, but it's nice to see that at least it feels like he belongs. Demarcus Robinson, their first 2 drives, they threw the ball to him. I didn't need a game to tell me he belongs. I saw it in practice. I've seen his numbers. Is he going to get suspended for 2 games, for 3 games? Yeah, that's going to hurt because he's impactful. Didn't get Ricky Pearsall. Nobody else really from a receiving standpoint didn't get to see much of Russell Gage, but Junior Bergen as a receiver, I don't know. I mean, it had a nice return, but it doesn't feel like there, in terms of guys that played the first preseason game, a lot of answers there. Ricky Pearsall's looked really good in camp, had a great catch on Jahdae Barron, as some of you may have seen on Thursday night. But there really, there just wasn't much in this game. Amir Abdullah, they try. I think Corey Kiner, the rookie running back, like if he just stays healthy, he breaks tackles. He was 5th in forced missed tackles last year. Ashton Ginty was 1. Cam Scatterbo was 2 in that category at Cincinnati. He's got a little something. It feels like he's got a natural feel that, you don't know if Isaac Garendo has in terms of running. And he's smaller and he's compact. Garendo's a little more upright. Now Garendo's, hurt and he's been hurt. And so I like Corey Kiner. I think he's got a shot to actually, make an impact. Last year, remember the Niners had several running backs and you just, Corey Schrader, they didn't keep him. They tried to get him through waivers. He didn't get through waivers. The Rams claimed him. I hope they're not in that position with Corey Kiner because there's more I want to see there with him. I think defensively was really, Upton Stout was the guy everybody, myself included, we were all looking forward to seeing. Didn't play. Little tweak, whatever you want to call it, from the joint practice Thursday. Hopefully he's back soon. We don't really get to see the Renardo Green, Diamador Lenore, Upton Stout group. We haven't seen them together in a while. But Upton Stout's been awesome. Awesome. I talked to his college head coach, Tyson Helton, the other day in preparation for the preseason game. And this is something I'll use on TV, so you'll get access to it first here for free. But Tyson Helton said one of the reasons he thinks Stout is fitting in so well, in addition to all the stuff that the Niners have said, like he's tough, he's physical. Tyson Helton said he shows up mad, all that. He said that at Western Kentucky, a lot of their defensive staff has a lot of Nick Saban tree influence. And so what that creates is a really complicated defense. It requires a lot of study and work and preparation. It requires you to process a lot of information quickly. And he thought that because, especially in the Niners secondary, you have to do so much processing and it is complicated, that Upton Stout he's prepared for that in part because he's kind of, he's been not directly under the Saban tree in terms of coaching, but he's been under the Saban tree in terms of coaching. So I thought that was really interesting insight. Marquise Siegel, is Jair Brown going to be healthy? Is Jair Brown going to play? When the starters play, presumably, week 3, it's when they did last year, the preseason against the Chargers. Is Jair Brown going to be out there? Can he stay healthy? Safety is a huge question. If the corner and the nickel are healthy, then they're in great shape. But I don't know if everybody's healthy at safety. I don't know. Is it good enough? Is Jair Brown better than Marquise Siegel? Safety's so complicated that he's got a couple years of experience over Marquise Siegel, the rookie out of Kansas State, but he looked good. I think back to the draft video I did with the Kansas State reporter after the Niners took Siegel, and he thought he was critical. He felt like Siegel's running speed, his non-game speed didn't match his game speed. But I thought yesterday his game speed was good. He hit people. It's funny, Ethan Strauss sent me a text today. He's like, are you able to evaluate a game after you call it the same way as when you're, kind of podcasting it, sitting at home watching it, taking notes? And I don't know. We're going to find that out. It's a good question. I think you see different things. I mean, when I'm sitting at home, I get a live view and then a replay view, and then I'm taking note, so it's different. But I did feel like I saw Marquise Siegel well yesterday. I felt like I saw Nick Martin well. Any talk about him beating out D Winters to start it's probably long gone. I mean, seeing it in the game. And again, there's a lot going on. It's complicated, especially at linebacker. It's really complicated. If you take if you don't if you are processing, then if you're processing and it slows you down, then your speed isn't going to catch you up. And he was a step late to a few spots. He was in the wrong spot a couple of times, was a little off balance. So, I'm still optimistic on Nick Martin, the rookie linebacker from Oklahoma State. Plays really hard, but it clearly there was a major learning curve. I think it affected him. It's to be expected. And, that puts more emphasis on D Winters being ready to roll. Can he take the next step? Because that was the book on D, right? As he runs around, he's fast, but he's overruns a hole or he's in the wrong spot or whatever. And so, hopefully another year of development is good for him. CJ West looked really good. Disappointed not to see Michael Williams, but I know Tim Rhino is working with has been really impressed with him. His prediction for the defensive line would be Michael Williams basically starting inside of Nick Bosa, which will be great. I mean, he pass rushed a lot from the inside in his career in college. So I think that'll be I think that's promising. I'm just going through my list here. Who else? Oh, Sebastian Valdez, not long arms, 50, number 55, 31 and a quarter inch arms, but he looked really good in camp. I think somebody asked me, like, what are you looking for week one of a preseason game? I just want to see the stuff that happened in camp. If a guy looked good in camp, does he look good in these games? That's the first step. It doesn't mean he's going to go out and make a bunch of tackles or even be active on the 46-man run, but that's the first step. It's like, does he look like he can play in these games? And, Sebastian Valdez looks like he can just play. He's just a player. So, I'm still I'm optimistic about him, optimistic about Siegel. CJ West, I thought, showed up. Alfred Collins, I would say, did not. But, missed OTA. He's given him a chance. There's clearly player development there at 6'5", 330. Big, gets up. And so there's going to be a big learning curve for him. But the good news is they drafted, this is why you draft 3 defensive linemen, I guess, instead of 1. And I've said this from the beginning, not knowing who. Like, if of those 3, West, Michael Williams, and Alfred Collins, if 2 of them can be impactful right away, and it feels like that's what's going to happen, and it's going to be West and Michael Williams, and that's a win. Like, that's a win. So that's the situation they're in right now. We want to see Michael play, though. What else? I do think one challenge, just being around him, is how much youth do you need? Is it Siegel and Williams and CJ West and Stout? How much is, do you need one? Is Nick Martin going to play? You're on the road so much to start the season. And the record in the NFC was not good. The Niners lost so many close games in the division last year. Never got this stat in. Let's see. Here we go. Most divisional losses is the 49ers with a fourth quarter lead since the 2008 Lions, who went 0-16. Niners last year went 1-5 in the division. Of those 5 divisional losses, 4 of them were by 1 score. And those 4 losses were a total combined 13-point differential. So better in the division is the name of the game. And they're on the road. They're on the road in the division early. I remember when I said, I like the schedule, Josh Dubow of the AP came on and said, do you love with a young team playing at Seattle, at the Rams, the first 2 weeks of the season, not the first 2 weeks, but early in the season, they go to New Orleans. You get Arizona week 2. Obviously that's at home, or week 3, that's at home. But that's fair. That's fair. I saw somebody sent me somebody else's tweet. I don't remember. It was like, not a great game for Clay Kubiak. I got to shrug and toss it up. I mean, Clay called the plays. I thought with that first drive looked great. And that's the opening script, but they had trouble protecting on that second drive. Nick Bonito was just on a different snap count than everybody else coming off the edge. So I don't think I have any grand judgment on Clay Kubiak's ability to play call. But okay. I think that's it for this board. So I'm easing back into it, trying to give you guys the stuff you're used to, and hopefully some more stuff that's interesting and good. And Yeah, I mean, look, you got questions. I'm sure there's stuff I didn't answer here. For the people who don't care, I don't want to bog them down with stuff you don't care about. Like if you just care about football. But I think to that end, I think maybe I'll do something live early in the week or at some point this week, and tell me if you or maybe answer not an ask me anything, but kind of like answer questions about whatever you may have, because I'm sure there's stuff that you guys are interested in about calling a game that or whatever. Maybe you're not interested. Anyway, to the podcast people, thanks for waiting, and to the YouTube people, same. I'll talk to y'all soon. Later.